This is the story of a village girl named Liba, whose life was shadowed by sorrow and hardships from childhood. Sitting alone on the roof of a small mud house on the edge of the village, she gazed at the sky with tears in her eyes, which soaked into her old, worn-out clothes. Her life was like a book, every page filled with tales of grief and deprivation. Liba was married off at the mere age of 17 to Fayaz, a laborer boy from the village. This marriage was not a result of love or happiness, but was born out of poverty and compulsion. Her father, burdened by financial constraints, thought that by marrying her off, he would be relieved of her responsibility. However, even after marriage, Liba's fate did not change. Fayaz worked hard in the fields all day, and Liba swept houses to earn a living. Despite their relentless hard work, no prosperity came into their lives. Not even 2 years had passed since their marriage, when one day Fayaz fell from a tree while working in the field. The injury was so severe that he could not be saved. When Liba received this news, the ground beneath her feet seemed to slip away. In an instant, her world was shattered. But her suffering did not end here. Her parents, who already considered her a burden instead of supporting her, saw her as an even bigger problem. The villagers whispered and gossiped, saying that life is tough for a widow. Liba's heart was shattered, and her life became even more difficult. During the day, she worked in people's houses, sometimes harvested crops in the fields, and at other times she tried to collect and sell firewood. The marks of her hard work were clearly visible on her hands, and lines of hardship appeared on her face. However, the men of the village began to hover around her, trying to take advantage of her vulnerability. But Liba was ready to make any sacrifice to protect her honor. She just prayed to her Lord to rescue her from these dark times. That night, she returned from cutting firewood in the fields. The fatigue of the day was evident on her face. After coming home, she took a sip of water and went to the roof to find some peace in the cool breeze of the moonlit night. As she looked at the sky, lost in her thoughts, suddenly the wind changed direction. In the silence of the night, a strange rustling sound began to echo. Liba was startled. She looked around, but saw nothing. Her heart began to beat rapidly. She started to go downstairs to close the door of the house, but then she felt as if someone was present around her. Suddenly, a faint light appeared on the roof. This light was different from ordinary lamps or moonlight. Along with it, a strange fragrance spread in the air, as if some extraordinary creature was present there. Liba's heart filled with fear. She mustered the courage to look up and saw some shadows. They did not look like humans. One figure among them was the most prominent, whose face was not clearly visible, but his eyes were shining like light. Liba's feet froze, and she slowly began to back away, but that mysterious figure came closer to her. "Don't be afraid, Liba," the figure said in a soft voice. "I won't harm you." Liba, trembling, asked, "Who are you, and how do you know my name?" The figure smiled slightly and said, "This is not the time to ask questions. Just know that I cannot leave you alone here." Liba felt as if her soul had left her body. Fear turned her body cold as ice. Then, suddenly, the figure began to fade before her eyes, and his lips seemed to murmur a prayer. As soon as he blew something into the air, Liba felt dizzy, her head spun, and then she fainted. When she woke up in the morning, she was in her room. Her entire body was numb. Every scene from the night played before her eyes. She was in fear and confusion. Who was that man, and who had brought her here? One day, while working in the fields, she saw a small child crying. His condition was very poor, and he seemed to have been separated from his parents. Seeing the child's condition, Laba's heart melted. She took him with her and fed him. But the child was strange. His blue eyes had a charm that seemed familiar to Laba, but she couldn't remember where she had seen it before. As soon as the child finished eating, he suddenly ran away. Laba searched for him everywhere, but couldn't find him. This incident seemed strange to her, but she dismissed it as a figment of her fatigue. However, that night, as she lay on the roof, the child echoed in her memories. The glow of his blue eyes and the strange peace hidden behind them stirred her heart. It seemed as if the child wanted to tell her something, but it was impossible to understand. The next morning, when Laba went to the forest to collect firewood, she felt as if someone was following her. She turned around, but saw no one. However, along with the sound of her footsteps, she could hear the faint traces of someone else's footsteps.